Hello, my friends. It's been a while, but I finally got back to the bucket list book adventure and have finished Histories by Herodotus. Herodotus. It's taken me a month to learn how to pronounce his name, and I still say it wrong half the time. Anyways, let me tell you about Histories. Herodotus, the father of history, is somewhat of a mystery. It's believed he was born around 484 BC in the vicinity of the ancient Greek city of Halicarnassus, today known as Bodrum, Turkey. Maybe. There's a lot of question marks. His life has even more question marks. Herodotus traveled extensively throughout the Mediterranean, the Middle East, and North Africa, and was believed to be in Athens at the beginning of the Peloponnesian War. And of course, his death is also a big mystery. It is estimated to have occurred between 430 and 420 BC, and he probably rests in Thurii, Italy, having left Athens around 430 BC for that great colony. It is unsure exactly when Histories was published, but the work was well known by 425 BC, and because he alludes to his upcoming relocation to Thurii, it probably wasn't published until after 430 BC. Maybe. The book begins about 550 BC and is a very detailed study of Greek, Egyptian, Ethiopian, and Persian history. Also, the cultural factors that influenced and contributed to the Greek and Persian Wars, which occurred from 490 to 479 BC. It also tells the story of Greece becoming a unified country rather than a collection of city-states. There are some great stories, and many I'm sure are fantastical, but others were intriguing. I always thought it particularly odd, given how little women were regarded in the ancient world, that Helen wasn't tossed over the walls of Troy the minute the Greeks attacked. If not by the royal family, then at least by the common people who were about to be raided, killed, and or enslaved. Well, Herodotus has an explanation for that. Per the Histories, Paris and Helen stopped by Egypt before landing at Troy. Thonis, the warden of the Nile, heard about the wife thieving and confiscated Helen until he could send for Menelaus. However, the Greeks were already on their way to Troy and wouldn't believe that Helen was in Egypt. I suspect the Greek kings also needed to recoup the voyage's financial loss. As far as the fantastic tales go, did you know that Heliopolis, Egypt, is the home of the phoenix? Or that Arabia had flying venomous snakes? Also, Ethiopian royalty were buried in hollowed-out quartz crystal coffins. There are a few bits, pun not intended, that I hope are fantastic, but I suspect they aren't. The Scythians once fed a pupil of Zaraces to him at a banquet, and Harpagus was fed his son by King Astyages. Both instances caused a lot of drama in the ancient world. If you want the story of Leonidas and the 300, this is also the book to read. However, Gerard Butler and his squad tell that story much better than I ever possibly could. My favorite to tell was that of the poet Arion, who was attacked and robbed by the ship crew he had booked passage with on his return home from Tarentum, after winning the ancient Greeks' version of The Voice. Arion requested and was granted a final song, which he dedicated to Apollo, and sang so beautifully that the dolphins surrounded the ship. The poet then threw himself overboard rather than allow the sailors to kill him, and the dolphins carried him safely to a temple. The sailors were caught when they came to port and died by crucifixion. And here we thought only the ancient Romans did things like that. I was interested in the ancient Greek definition of happiness: health, freedom from troubles, great kids, physical beauty, and a comfortable living with the promise of a good, parentheses, heroically in battle, death. I think we aren't so different from the ancient Greeks, and that those things make most of us happy now. Well, maybe not the die in battle part, but I do hope I meet it head on and not whining. Still, This was a very long book and a rather difficult read, and I also thought that Herodotus spent entirely too much time on the Nile, its course, and its unique features. But I suppose it was much more important back then. Next up is Clouds by Aristophanes, and I can't wait to tell you about that.